We know what Kong was doing on Skull Island while Godzilla and the rest of the Titans started to duke it out during Godzilla King of the Monsters. But what was Godzilla doing during the big ape's time in the spotlight during the events of the movie Kong Skull Island? That's the topic for today. Most of this is going to be my own theories, as there's not much lore involved on the situation. But after researching the big Gman and the little lore that there is in the Monsterverse, this is as close as I think it could be for figuring out Godzilla's whereabouts in the year 1973, the year that Skull Island took place in. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get to it. Let's go all the way back to Godzilla's original emergence. Wrong universe. This Godzilla. Before he shown himself to modern man, the big G-Man was more than likely in a state of hibernation down inside his temple that we finally got to see in King of the Monsters, feeding off the greater levels of radiation coming from the bottom of the deep oceans, while the rest of the planet was in a phase of low natural atmospheric radiation. Godzilla probably stayed in his lair for tens of thousands of years before finally being disturbed by something. That something was the power of modern man. During the 40s, the planet was facing all-out war. World War II was globally devastating, and it ended with what could have been the most world-changing event in human history, the dropping of the atom bomb. In the Monsterverse and with Godzilla, this was the equivalent of your alarm clock going off. And just like many of us, the time that followed Godzilla being abruptly woken up was filled with chaos, anger, and frustration. The period of time between the 1950s and the 1970s had the highest percentage of nuclear bomb testings, and overall nuclear activity in general was at an all-time high. This is why you hear your parents tell all those stories about having to hide under their desks back in the day. Not that it would really help in the end though. But Godzilla loved this new age of man. During this 2-decade span, Godzilla consistently went after nuclear submarines due to their atomic payloads, paid the occasional visit to random small islands in order to face off with the Shinomura, and had more than a few atomic bombs set off on his head. With how Monsterverse Godzilla works, this whole era was probably something like waking up, taking a nice hot shower in the form of atom bombs to the face, all while having to deal with your cat tripping you until you feed him. Just another day in the life of a giant radioactive reptile. But something happened in 1963 in our real world that may have carried over to this fictional universe. That was the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty between the United States and the Soviets. This put an end to any atomic bomb tests in atmosphere, on water, or in space. The only nukes that could be detonated would have to be deep underground. This treaty was agreed upon during the height of the Cold War, because even with tensions high, both of the world's superpowers understood the harm that these bombs' radiation clouds could bring to the world if they continued to be released into our airstreams. Good for humanity and the rest of the planet, not so much for the big G-Man, as we know that this is his primary source of energy or food. After this ban on open-air nuclear bomb tests, Godzilla would have likely grown bored, and it wasn't worth exerting the amount of energy that is required to move his massive body around if there was nothing for him to refuel on in the atmosphere. And at the end of the day, as nice as it was for these bombs to give Godzilla energy, he probably would have gotten tired of us pesky humans constantly setting them off right on top of him. To Godzilla, these modern humans were still too unrespectful to him and his world for him to have any concern with staying around. So sometime between 1963 and 1973, the year in which Skull Island takes place, Godzilla decided to end his nearly 2-decade-long workday of sorts and go back to his temple, to once again go into deep slumber until the world was more radioactive, or when something needed a good killing. Where was Godzilla during the events of Skull Island? Taking a goddamn power nap. Hey residents, Jacob here still. Hope you're all having a kick-ass day and being super productive and all that good stuff. If you enjoyed this video and feel like I've earned it, feel free to leave a like and share this video with some of your friends. The fact that I can go this crazy into a theory that I just made up in my head, along with using some real world and monsterverse information to give valid explanations, is all due to you guys watching our content and sticking around Dangerville. But anyway, residents, this has been Jacob, and as always, peace out.